Hello there, and welcome back for the rest of page 269. And I need a blank sheet, so I'll turn on over. Again, we're finishing up the exam on page 269. I got down as far as number 1 in the skills practice section. Okay, it says to read each problem and complete the task. In number 1, I had asked you to skip because that's about constructing a graph, and we don't need to worry about that at this point. Number 2, I did not ask you to skip, even though it is a theory question. I do want to talk about this. It says to observe the following data, and this is money raised by candidates. And we have Gomez raised $290,000. Nguyen raised $5,500, and Bernanke $4,300. And the question is, why will these data be hard to display as a bar graph? And the answer to that, in proper terms, is because the range is enormous. Can you imagine the bar graph that had Nguyen and Bernanke on there? They're pretty close. They're both less than 10,000. To put Gomez on there, I would need a bar graph the size of this room. I mean, it would be huge because I would have to show the very big difference between those numbers. So the range is enormous. The graph would be very large and spread out. So bar graph is probably not your best bet on this one. And again, this is not a question you're likely to see, but this one's good to think about. When the range is really big like that, the graphs can get difficult to read, and they can also become a little bit skewed sometimes. So be careful if you have a very big range. Okay, number 3. In a survey of favorite colors, 45 out of 250 like the color green. What percent would be used to help make the sector or the section of the circle graph to represent green? So what they're wanting me to do is turn this into a percentage. So they want me to find the percentage who selected green out of all those surveyed. Okay. So we know that 15 chose green out of 250, not 15, how about 45? Out of 250 people asked. And we want to put the percentage in there. So we want to know what that is in terms of a percent. So let's put the 100 in because 100 is the whole in a percent, and do that little trick if you're using this method. So 45 times 100 is 4,500. And don't forget your 250. Got to use that number also. I think it's about 17, but I'm not sure. 4,500 divided by 250 is 18. It's a good thing I checked. Sometimes I think I know, and I don't. And this is not multiple choice, so me guessing is not a good thing. So 18% like green. Okay, number 4. A sector or a section in a circle graph is 37% of the whole. How many people out of 1,200 does this cover? Well, they tell me it's 37%. Remember, that's always going to go over 100%. And then the whole study or whole group is 1,200. So we're going to multiply 37 times 1200. And I learned my lesson the last time about guessing. 37 times 1200 is 44,400. And you divide that by the 100. And that's 444 people. So I would go with, this one is multiple choice, so let's choose option C. Okay, I absolutely love number 5. I've never seen a question quite like this, but I really like this. If you start at 12 o'clock and lay out a sector of 37.5%, where on the clock face would that sector end? So they want me to think about a clock face. And we're starting up here at 12 o'clock. We all know that that is straight up. And they're wanting me to say, okay, if I do 37.5% of this circle, where will the other end be? Will it be there? Will it be there? Will it be there? Where will that other end be? So what you and I need to do is set up a percent problem where we know 37.5 has to go over 100 because they're both percents. And then we look for that other number. A couple of ways you can do this, but I want to know how many minutes are on this clock face. If that clock, the hands go around one time completely, that's 60 minutes. So I'm going to use that as my whole. 60 minutes is the whole clock. So we're going to do the percent. You do this one times this one, and that is so shaky. I'm sorry. Maybe if I do it quicker. So 37.5 times 60 is 2250. And you divide that by 100. And you will get 22.5 minutes. Because remember, the 60 is minutes. So what we have to figure out is where 22.5 minutes would fall on this clock. Well, here's 3 o'clock. Here is 6 o'clock. So think about 22 minutes. If you're looking at the top of the hour, where would that 22 minutes fall? Well, we know that, let me try this again. My sectors are not very good. That's about as close as I'm going to get, guys. Pretend those are equal. We know that 20 minutes is at 4 when the hand is on the 4. 5 would be 25 minutes if this is the center. So we're looking at a sector. I'm just going to shade it. There's 15 minutes. There's 20 minutes. We don't want to go all the way to 25. I just want to get a little bit. So it's somewhere between 4 and 5 on the clock. And that's how I would answer this. Between 4 and 5. It's a very good question. I like it. Okay, number 6. The last one. Which of these data sets would be displayed better as a bar graph and which as a circle graph? So I'm just going to make a list of my choices. Market share of cell phone brands. Well, a share is a part of a whole, so that is going to be a circle graph. Amount spent by different cities on the arts. So this would allow me to compare maybe Knoxville to Chattanooga to Memphis to Nashville. There's not a whole, we're just comparing cities. So that is a bar graph. Internet usage in different countries. And again, I'm comparing the countries, so that would be a bar graph. Percent, that's all I need to read. If it's a percent, it's probably a circle graph. Percent of reasons given for calling 911. So 2 of them are best for bar and 2 of them are best for circle. I hope you did well on this exam. This brings us to the end of this module officially. So I will see you in the next video, and we'll be looking at a new set of data. Have a great day.